we may be witnessing the start of a significant shift in British media. For years, mainstream outlets like the BBC and Sky News have been perceived as extensions of government messaging. Institutions that often echo the official line rather than challenge it. Those who dare to question authority within these networks risk professional consequences, which explains why public trust in such organizations has eroded over time. It is rare, almost unheard of, to see presenters from these major broadcasters confront the government directly. That's why a recent exchange involving Trevor Phillips, one of Sky News's most recognizable hosts, has raised eyebrows across Westminster. In a live discussion, Phillips openly criticized Prime Minister Starmer over the handling of grooming gang scandals and did so with visible conviction. It was a rare display of journalistic independence, one that cut through the usual political choreography. Phillips accused the government of avoiding a full inquiry, suggesting that political sensitivities surrounding Labour-run councils have long obstructed justice. He highlighted that the victims, predominantly white working-class girls, were failed by those meant to protect them, police, social workers, and local officials. Everyone knew, he implied, but no one acted. The claim that members of these grooming networks remain shielded by political and institutional protection is both damning and deeply unsettling. Critics might say these revelations are nothing new. Yet, for someone within the establishment media to voice them so plainly is a notable step toward accountability. It challenges the culture of silence that has protected the powerful for far too long. In that sense, Trevor Phillips's intervention marks more than just a viral clip. It signals a potential crack in the wall of difference that has long defined Britain's media-political relationship. What's coming together here is a really horrid combination that nobody really ever wants to talk about, which is, the intersection of race and sexual predation. And let's be honest that actually a lot of this, is bringing those two things together in an unpleasant way. The issue about the grooming gangs inquiry is very straightforward. The government clearly never wanted these two things to be put together. And I suspect that their big reason for not wanting those two things to be put together is that much of this took place in areas which are run by local labor councils and that the authorities who ought to be watching over this, stopping it, monitoring it and all of the rest of it were controlled by those councils and they did nothing. As I make the point I make in my piece today is that this particular phenomenon is not like other kinds of child abuse for a number of reasons. Number 1, scale. Most, child abuse rings, even the big ones, you're talking about a few children, maybe a dozen. Here, we're talking about tens of thousands. This is industrial. Secondly, the issue about who the children are. Most in this is a horrible way to put it. The You kindly said, I've been at this a long time. I'm afraid much longer than you think. I won a Royal Television Society Award for a film on paedophiles back in 1988, 37 years ago. It was the first award I ever won. And I had to spend a week sitting interviewing pedophiles in a darkened room. It's one of the most load-home experiences of my life. But I learned some things. One of them is that they do two things. 1, they choose children for quote-unquote aesthetic reasons. In this case, the grooming gangs, these children are chosen because of their race. They are chosen because they are white and because they are outside the community of the groomers. And secondly, they are chosen, the way they operate is not in secrecy. All other kind of child abuse, the first thing that the abuser says to the child is don't tell anybody because I'll kill you. Or for a younger child they will say to that child if anybody knows they will take your parents away and put them in jail. The difference with this grooming gangs thing is that everybody knows it happens in public. The girls are but first attracted usually by young men from within those communities. Flash cars, cigarettes, they give them drugs, all the rest of it. And the girls, and I did, as you said, this film 10 years ago, and what the girls tell you is, this is my boyfriend because they think that's what's happening. Only later do they discover they're hooked on drugs, they need the alcohol and all of that, and then they're passed around amongst older men. So, this is just completely different. And the other thing which I think really makes it different brings us back to, if you like, the horror of of narrowing the inquiry, is that these people know that they are protected. They're protected politically. They're protected by social workers. They're protected by local police because everybody says we don't want to ramp up tensions in the community. And these girls partly their own fault. That is the scandal here. And that's the thing I think that I wanted to bring out, because I'm beginning to get around somehow that actually this is no different to anything else. It could not be more different. Credit must go to Trevor Phillips. But let's be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him on mainstream screens much longer. Not because of any sinister disappearance, but because speaking uncomfortable truths has consequences in Britain's broadcast landscape. What Trevor said doesn't align with the narrative major networks are comfortable promoting. We've seen this pattern time and again. When a presenter dares to challenge institutional orthodoxy, they're quietly phased out, replaced, or simply never invited back. Phillips was direct, unapologetic, and above all right. His remarks reflect what many ordinary citizens have been saying for years, that political correctness and institutional cowardice have stifled honest debate about serious issues. When you confront those who shape media agendas, you risk professional exile. And yet, Trevor has done it before. He has previously spoken up on issues dismissed as far-right talking points, defending the right of Britons to protest and to voice genuine concerns without being vilified. That takes integrity. It's rare to see someone inside the system stand up against it. And while I don't often praise presenters from the establishment media, this time credit is due. Trevor has repeatedly risked his reputation and his career to call things as they are. Now to the latest case that underscores just how deep this problem runs. A young girl in Dundee, a child who once had to brandish a knife and an axe to protect herself and her sister from a Romanian migrant, has now been vindicated. A Romanian grooming gang has been jailed for sexually abusing women across Dundee. This isn't an isolated tragedy. It's part of a broader pattern, and it continues to unfold while those in power appear paralyzed under this Labour government. The uncomfortable truth is that Britain's young girls remain unsafe. The institutions meant to protect them too often look the other way out of fear, complacency, or political calculation. These aren't easy words to say, but they are necessary. As I reflect on this, one thing is clear. Trevor Phillips has done what many won't. He's spoken the truth on air, challenging both media silence and government inertia.